what I love about the tools of Talk to the Entities. And today we're going to interview Dr. Metis, who is a Talk to the Entities facilitator. Let's invite him. How does it get any better than that? Hope you guys having an awesome day. Anthony, you are invited. Yes, so this is basically like, so Talk to the Entities is founded and created by Shannon O'Hara. And what I love about the tools is an awesome idea from Shannon, which did first, like, what I love about the tools of Access Consciousness. Awesome series. Check it out on her Facebook page. And obviously today it's about what I love about the tools of Talk to the Entities. And Anthony is with us. So Anthony, I will bring you on. And voila. Okay, I've sent your invitation. Hello, Cecile. Hello, everyone. Anthony will be with us shortly. I have invited you, Anthony. Let's see if you have received your invitation. Or maybe you can ask to join me in the Facebook Live. There's always a little bit of a play and some play going on with Facebook Lives. Voila. Anthony. Yeah. Just checking. Oh. Yes, Anthony, you may be in my video, please. He's joining us.
Hi.
Hello, good morning for you and
Yes.
good day, everyone who's watching. This is Anthony Metis, who is a Talk to the Entities facilitator. And we are super curious. Well, I am for first what you love about the tools of Talk to the Entities, and I've got 7 questions ready for you. So
Okay.
when you're ready, I can
Yeah.
ask them.
All right. I'm ready. I am ready.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So first, how did you discover Talk to the Entities? What brought you to Talk to the Entities? Because it's a very weird class. It's like one of the weirdest. So yeah.
Yeah, totally. Well, it's been an interesting journey. I've been in Access Consciousness for 7 years. And when I first took the Talk to the Entities classes, I didn't do it really for me. I did it because I really just wanted, like, Shannon to tell me why my my late wife, the children's mother, decided to kill herself. And I
Yeah.
really just wanted to go to the class to have Shannon be a psychic and give me information, right? I wasn't really interested in developing or learning the tools for myself. To be quite honest with you, at that point, I was probably in Access maybe 2.5, 3 years. And I didn't even know if it was like a bunch of bullshit, right? I was so deceived. I felt like by my church. I felt like I was deceived when I had a guru. So I was like, how do I know this stuff isn't just fantasy, right? So, and then
Yeah.
fast forward about my 5th or 6th year in Access, I just started asking questions because, what I do is body work, right? What I do is the energy work. And that's something that's my capacity. So I'm like, I don't see ghosts. So what's the point of me learning this stuff? But I started asking a question. I started asking, what would it take for my energetic, my ASB sessions to become more powerful, to become stronger? What would it take for my facilitation to get stronger with my clients and in my classes? And I'm scrolling through Facebook and I see a taster that Shannon was doing. So I'm like, oh no, it's not this. But it was such a strong yes in my universe. So I texted Gary, the founder of Access Consciousness, and I'm like, I don't have a capacity in this area, but I'm getting that I need to really study and look at this work. And he goes, well, yes, you do have a capacity in this area. Just because you don't see ghosts, it doesn't mean you don't have a capacity in this area. So
Mm.
make a really long story short, I jumped in, I took a beginner's class again, I took an advanced class again, I did the beings of light, and it was bizarre because it was like this whole universe opened up to me, and it was like these downloads came, and it was like it all started to make total sense, not just for me, but then I actually got the awarenesses of what my late wife was going through, dealing with bipolar disorder or manic depression, and as Shannon refers to some of those mental illnesses like entity awareness symptoms. And I was like, oh my God. And that's part of the reason why I started Access to begin, because I wanted questions to be answered. I needed information. And nothing I did before in the 20 years of being a holistic chiropractor and seeking all these spiritual paths or whatever, nothing actually answered any of those questions until I came to Access and started studying the Talk to the Entity tool. So I am super grateful. And at the end of the day, they just empower you. That's the bottom line. They fucking empower you beyond anything you could really ever imagine. And that's what I love about them. That's what I'm grateful for about them. And it doesn't end. There's no ceiling to it. There's no cap. There's no plateau. It just keeps going and going and going and going the more you use the tools.
Fuck, I love it. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, you're
Thank you.
welcome.
So, I think you sort of already answered this. If there's anything left to tell, what is Talk to the Entities for you?
It's everything. It's so much because it gave me another way of asking people questions. It gave me another way to facilitate people to, like, what I love about doing what we do is we get to bring out the greatness in other people. Even if people come to Access down in the dumps, abused mentally, physically, maybe they're broke, financially, whatever's not working out in their life. And what I love about these tools is they have a way of bringing out people's gifts, their talents, their capacities and potencies. And so when I finally decided to incorporate Talk to the Entities, uh, with my facilitation, it just really exponentialized my ability to deliver and facilitate people to have more of themselves, to empower people to have more of themselves, and to really get them to see that their past does not have to dictate their future. And so whatever it is that you've been through, no matter how hard it's been, that doesn't have to be your reality anymore. And from my point of view, and I've personally experienced this myself, it's like you still may have the memories of all the shit you've been through, but they don't have the power over you anymore. It's like the energy of those things are gone. They've melted away. They've totally melted away. And that's I don't know if I'm going off because I get
I
excited
love
about this
it.
stuff, but it's like that's what it does. It's just a way of delivering more for the person and for your classes
Yeah.
and the planet.
Horrible. Horrible.
Yeah, totally sucks. Those tools don't work.
Oh my God. I love the next question. What's the coolest ghost story you have?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I love that. My coolest story was, again, so here I am, I'm a guy, right? Shannon says I'm the most normal person that's ever come to talk to the entities, which is kind of funny. So I look normal on the outside, but on the inside, I'm really wild and wacky. But no. So when I finished listening to the house clearing, the A to Z house clearing, right? I was like, wow, this is really like cool stuff. And I kind of like already do this stuff anyway. But it was cool because it was like the tools were a little bit more specific. And so I had a friend that wasn't sleeping well, and I even have a YouTube video of sharing the story. So she wasn't sleeping well. She had just moved into her new home, and I'm like, you know what? Let me. I just finished listening to this call series that Shannon did, and I'm like, let me come over there and just see what I can get, right? So so again, like, I work with bodies, right? So I decided to do a session like on the house, like my fingers are moving, I'm perceiving all these energies. I'm going into all the different rooms, and I'm like, I feel like I'm one of those ghost people. Like I guess just started asking questions, and I'm getting these download and awarenesses about the energies of things that were occurring in each room of the house. And so some of the rooms I was clearing, some of the rooms I was communicating, and some of the rooms we were just receiving. And then we go outside in her property, right? And there were certain parts of her property that were like surging. You could feel the earth being like, "Roar," like in a really awesome way. And she thought maybe the church across the street was like causing some of the wonkiness, right? And I'm like, it's easy to blame the church and all the demons that people bring into the church, but I'm not getting that that's what it is. And so here I am standing on the property. It's like my nipples are popping out. I got goosebumps all over my body. But then I'm like, what's over there? And it was towards the church, but I'm like, but it's not the church. So I stepped over these like hedge of bushes, and there was the road, and it was a dirt road. And then all that energy that was going, "Rah," all of a sudden it went poof, and I got really sad, and I felt really icky. And I'm like, I looked at her and I said, gosh, I'm like, I feel really yucky and almost like really depressed right now. And I knew it wasn't mine, right? We learn in Access, and none of it's yours, especially thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And I'm like, okay, what's going on? And so the homeowner, she goes, well, guess what they call this road? And I said, what? She goes, they call it Ghost Road. And I'm like, what do you mean by that? And she goes, because I live in South Carolina in the deep South. And so basically, she's like, this is the road where slaves used to walk on every day after they did, their different jobs in the plantations. And I'm standing under this huge oak tree where they used to, sometimes they get hanged or lynched, right? And then she starts crying, right? And I'm like, stop. I'm like, why are you crying? And she goes, because I'm really sad. I'm like, is that your sadness or is it their sadness?
Yes.
She goes, oh. And she stopped crying. She goes, it's their sadness. I'm like, exactly. So we just started to clear everywhere where we may have contributed to it, everywhere that we may have been at the effect of it. And then we were just actually willing to receive. And then that yucky feeling, it completely went away. But I had no idea. And I shared this story on the property because I was so excited about, like, again, here I am, this normal guy, doesn't think he has a capacity in this area whatsoever. I just finished listening to the house clearing A to Z call, and I just went over there and I played. And I actually was aware. And she confirmed it with like factual information. And that was just so beautiful. And I'm like, oh my God, I have a capacity in this area. How does it get better than that? I always just thought I was just a body guy. But, so I don't know. That's one of my coolest stories. And there really has been so many more stories. So
Mm-hmm.
many. Being able
Mm-hmm.
to facilitate and go to different countries, you have the ability to impact a city and a country with these tools. And I know that might sound like hocus pocus to a lot of people, and I would have had that point of view too, but you know what? You can. You can, because I know that I've gone to a city, when I left, that city is completely changed, and it's because of the tools of talk to the entities, access consciousness, everything that we learned. It's
I
the
love
energy you
this.
be. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
My tears are
that,
tears of like, wow.
yeah, totally. I mean, it's so awesome.
And while we're at the stories, the next one is, what's the weirdest ghost story? And I know it might be a weird question because basically when you start doing these tools, is anything actually really weird? But if
No.
something pops, what's the
Yeah. Oh my
weirdest
gosh.
story?
Well, I would have to say, Um, well, maybe I'm going in reverse. I would have to say the ghost story, because listen, if you would have told me 5 years ago that I was going to walk into someone's home and start clearing ghosts and start perceiving like different energy frequencies in the land and in the earth, I would have been like, that's really funny. Like, you know, what am I going to get struck by lightning on my way to Damascus or something? And then all of a sudden I'm going to have all these special supernatural powers. I would have laughed at you. So in a way, that's kind of like the weirdest story. But so I'll just share a different story. That's sort of kind of like, it may not necessarily be the weirdest story, but it, to me, it's an empowering story. So I was someone who kind of always struggled with this like low grade chronic depression, right? I wasn't ever like super depressed where I wanted to end my life. I never had that point of view. Um, However, but there was always this sort of like ball and chain in my universe, this heaviness in my universe. And I'd have spurts of excitement about life, usually if I was like doing a lot of drugs or something, or drinking alcohol or having sex. But then like after that, like I'd go back to this like sort of low grade heaviness. And so anyway, so finally, like for the first time in ever my life, you know, I'm making money. I had facilitated one of the largest classes I'd ever facilitated before, changed people's lives. And I'm like, I have all this money in my pocket. And all of a sudden I start to feel that like that melancholia pulling on me. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm feeling like I'm going to be really depressed. And I'm like, why is this happening? My life is, you know, I'm having great sex, I'm making money, I'm changing people's lives, I'm traveling the world. What the hell is going on, right? And so what I realized that I wasn't really present with the tools as much. You know, I was present when I'd facilitate other people, but when it came to myself, I didn't really dig my heels in and get really present with the energy of the tools. And so, and I kind of felt like I was dying. And so Julia said to me, I go, you know, I feel like I'm going to die. I said to her, and she goes, well, what if you went into it deeper? And she goes, and so what if you, and I'm like, well, I think I'm going to die if I do. And she goes, well, what if you go ahead and die? And I'm like, okay, fine. So, you know, Shannon talks about how, you know, there's only three things you're ever going to do when you're working with entities. You're either going to clear, communicate, or receive. And what I'm finding is it's sort of a combination of all three, especially the more you develop your capacities with this stuff. And so then all of a sudden, in that moment of like deep despair, again, this may not be a weird story, but it's hopefully an empowering one at least. Three people who committed suicide came into my awareness. So I had a chat with them. Okay. And it is weird. I mean, I'm having a chat with ghosts the way I'm having a talk with you. Here I am still at this time being like, what the hell am I even doing facilitating this class? I'm not a guy who sees ghosts, you know, but I'm talking to dead people. I'm like, I don't know if this is my imagination or not, but I'm going through the tools. And then my daughter, after those people sort of kind of like went away, then my daughter at the time was studying about the Aboriginals who lived in the area. So I started having a conversation with the people whose jobs was to take care of the earth, especially the Native Americans. So I gave gratitude to them. I acknowledged them. And I did that. And then a whole bunch of trees in my backyard got cut down, so all these new homes would be built. And then I started talking to the nature spirits and the trees. And all I know is, so I actually fell asleep, and this was like probably a 45-minute to 60-minute process. I fell asleep into a deep sleep, but I could perceive like all the neural pathways in my brain sort of like firing. I woke up the next morning, and it was like the dirty glass window that I had been looking through at my life. Like, even though my life was amazing, I couldn't really perceive it viscerally because I'm looking through this dirty glass window. There was still this separation between what was and what was actually showing up for me. And it was like that dirty glass window completely was gone. Whatever that melancholia, that pulling down feeling, it completely disappeared. And this was over a year ago, and I haven't had that one time. And any time that there's a little bit of an inclination of that, I get super present with the tools, and it shifts. It doesn't even last like maybe an hour or two max, because I know it's not mine. And I'm able to be sort of more comfortable with being uncomfortable now with my awareness. It's weird. So yeah. So I don't know if that sort of answers your question, but you know, talking to ghosts is weird.
I
You
love
know,
it.
so you know, especially, and I'm like, you look, people, it's like just pretend like you're having coffee and chat with them. That's why they're hanging around. They just want to be acknowledged. And some of them require your facilitation. And it's true. And all I know is at the end of the day, it shifts and changes the energy of whatever's not working.
Yeah, thank you. Well,
Yeah.
next question. What's your favorite talk to the entities tool?
Well, geez. Um,
I know.
I don't know if I could say one. I'll tell you what, doing office hours, for sure. Having office hours. You know, I have office hours 3 days a week. My alarm goes off. Um, to remind me, no matter where I am, no matter what I'm doing, when my phone goes off, my children know, they see office hours, like, oh, dad needs to talk to the entities for 5 minutes. And, and it shows up differently. Sometimes it's a gratitude session with my teammates. Sometimes it's acknowledging the nature spirit. Sometimes, one or two beings show up. Sometimes I get a group of beings that show up, and, I do the downloading exercise. Oh my God. So office hours, the downloading exercise. I love the downloading exercise because, again, you could walk into a city, you could walk into a country, and you can process hundreds of thousands of entities, bam, like that. And why do I love it so much? Because it changes things in people's bodies. Remember, I'm a body guy. I spent, since 1987, I've been working on bodies as a personal trainer. Then I became a holistic chiropractor, and now I travel doing energy sessions. It's like, man, having this available to you will change things in your body that are not working. So,
Oh, thank you. Oh, on to the next one. What's changed? Well, probably. So with um, the next question is like, what changed for you since attending a Toxic Entities class? And maybe you can choose any class, like since a beginning class, since a being of light class, since an advanced
mm.
class. Is there anything, is there like a class that's popping for you?
The beings of light was so beautiful because it was like being able to create this space in your universe so that you can receive the beings of light and have them actually, like touch you, and to just to know that they're there and they're available all the time. And it was just so beautiful. And it was one of those times where it's like you hear that the universe has your back, you hear it, but to actually know it viscerally is a whole nother, it's a whole nother ball game. And I would have to say that since doing those teammate exercises and the beings of light exercises, it's like, man, it's like I know the universe has my back, and as long as I'm in and as the question, the universe will rearrange itself to support me in whatever it is that I desire. And I never functioned from that space before in my life. I was always one of those the glass is half empty type people, because every time I felt like I got one knee up from being down, something would happen and I'd get kicked in the ball. So I felt like the universe was always against me. It felt like God was against me. And but no, again, ever since Access and ever since, doing Talk to the Entities, it's like I've been able to sort of kind of tap into this world in this space where it's like, no, it's like, wow, the universe does have my back. Things may not show up in my time frame, like as far as like when I would like it to show up, but I know that it will show up. It's just a matter of when. And so knowing that you have support, even though maybe people with bodies aren't supporting you or they think you're weird, it doesn't matter, because like there's this space of knowing now that nobody can ever take away from me anymore. I know the universe has my back. I know that there are beings of light that want to contribute to me and consciousness. I know that my teammates are like, thank God you're acknowledging us. We've been waiting for you to fucking acknowledge us. We're just sitting here doing nothing this whole time. You know what I mean? And Shannon says, she goes, I personally give, she goes, I give my teammates permission to override me, anytime I'm not doing consciousness. And I sort of said that too. And I'm like, yeah, if I'm being an idiot, please, tap me on the shoulder here. And so, yeah,
Ah, thanks. Thank
that.
you. Wow.
You're welcome.
Wow. How did, so the next, we're at the last question. The last question is a more practical one for all the people out there that are interested in these classes and don't know how to create their first class. How did you create your first Talk to the Entities class or any class? It's a money
It,
question, practical money question.
yeah. Well, okay, I'm just gonna tell you like where I was in my universe, and just could be an interesting point of view. So take it however it was. Okay, First of all, I'm like the worst. I can't even sell somebody water at the beach who's dehydrated, okay? I'm like the worst salesperson on planet Earth, okay? The worst. So if you have to feel like you have to sell this stuff, it's not true. And and anytime I was in sales jobs years and years and years ago, I never made quota. I was miserable. I was always sick. Even when I was a personal trainer, I had like the least amount of clients for some reason. I don't know, maybe because I gave everything away for free. So, but what, and that's because I was doing it from here, right? I wasn't doing it from being. And so, what these tools have created for me, access consciousness to talk to the entity tools, again, what they created was this energy of knowing, right? This energy of knowing, which in my universe was like a level of potency that I didn't have before, or at least I didn't know I had before. It's always been there, but I was not aware of it. Okay, I wasn't aware of it, and until I became aware of it, then I was like, oh. So what I found was I was inviting and being the invitation, not from here, but I was being the invitation from just being me with what has shown up in my life and saying, hey, if this has shown up for me, this can show up for you. It may look totally different because you're you, right? And I'm me. So I started to be the invitation from that space of knowing. And again, I at the end of the day, I mean, I don't have like a concrete this reality answer for you because I did all the um, local talks at the different groups in my community. I've did different chiropractic health talks, and nobody would come. Nobody would ever sign up. Nobody, it's like, what the fuck? But for whatever reason, people are choosing to come to whatever it is that I'm creating with the tools of access consciousness. But I know the one fundamental difference is because I'm functioning from this space of knowing, not intellectual knowing. It's an energy now that's always been there and been part of me, but I've never been able to access it for myself. And no pun intended, access consciousness. So I've accessed more of my own consciousness, more of my own knowing. And so what starts to happen is I was one of those people who were always afraid to be rejected. I was one of those people who always wanted to be liked and loved by everyone. I don't
Mm-hmm.
care anymore. I don't care anymore. I can deliver this information to 100 people that think I'm a charlatan, and I won't fucking have a point of view because I'm gonna deliver it in a way where I know at least a few of those people who think I'm a charlatan is gonna change their reality because I'm delivering it with an energy. It's not about the information that I'm communicating. It's about the energy that I'm being. And so all I can say is because I've been using the tools, the bars, receiving body processes, SOP, using the entity tools, doing the different exercises, having my office hours, you start to become infused, or these powers and potencies, they get instilled in every single cell and molecule in your body, and you're just being it. It's like, and then people are like, I want what they have. I want what he has. I'm not perfect in my delivery of this stuff. I use Shannon's amazing the PDFs that come with like the specialty calls that we get to listen to, right? And there's PDFs. I use those as a manual, right? And I'm just delivering the information. I mean, she really set it up for us facilitators to make it super easy for us. But it's like the gift for me is like I'm willing to deliver this information to a tree. And every time that I do, I get facilitated. So whether one person shows up to my call or my class, I'm cool. Because guess what? My life's going to change. And then what happens is then there's more knowing that gets created. There's more knowing that gets created, but not intellectual knowing. It's like an energetic knowing. It's an acoustical knowing that nobody can ever take away from you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And I really love the information that you gave with this last question. I had a little different intention, and I'm sure a lot of people that are watching this and in the future, that are creating classes is like it's such valuable information. Being the energy, receiving from your classes, and so the so if people were to purchase a class, it was more like that intended. Like if how what is like a cool tip for people to choose for a class, like a talk to the entities class, like how to create that for people that have yeah, like people that say that it's expensive, they don't have the money for it, or all that, you know, all the stuff that comes up when you go and
Well,
choose a
first of all,
class.
okay. Well, number one, okay. So if money is an issue for you, right? Um, you know, when Shannon allowed the talk to the entity facilitators to be able to facilitate the specialty classes, that went from $350 to $150. So $150 is not a lot of money for a 2 to 3 hour specialty talk to the entity classes. So if money is an issue, take the specialty classes with the talk to the entities beginners facilitators. You have walk-in call, you have the communicating with entities call, you have the creating with entities call. Now entities and addiction, 150 US dollars, that's not a lot of money. I'm sorry. That's not $1,000. That's not $2,600. That's not a lot of money. When I came to Access, I was just getting by. I was just getting by. And I promise you, if you're choosing consciousness, the universe will support you in your endeavors. And so, look, if you can't afford the big classes, take the specialty calls. Take the
Yeah.
specialty calls with a Talk to the Entities beginner facilitator. Because you could buy the one Shannon did, which is $350, which are amazing, right? But she's
Yeah.
allowed us to facilitate those in a 2 to 3 hour format. So take it with with someone like you or myself,
Yeah.
and it's only $150. So it's like, please, that's like what? How much is that? $3 not even $3 a day. Like, no, maybe a little more than $3 a day. $5 a day. It's $5 a day. Big deal. So that's my point of view. Start there.
Yeah, and then use the
Go,
tools.
yeah, and then exactly, and then use the tools and then see how your life starts showing up. There's so many free things that are available that's out there too.
Yeah.
So you can go on all of our different channels, like all of the beginner
Yeah.
facilitators. We have so much free information out there. Shannon has so much free information out there. Get the free information, use the tools, the money will show up. The universe will support you to pay for the more advanced classes.
Yeah.
That's my point of view. And guess what? I made a demand that I would never put one class on a credit card when I started Access because I put myself in
Oh.
so much debt. And guess what? I read the How to Become Money workbook.
Mm-hmm.
I read the book Money's Not the Problem You Are. And I started doing money clearings. I memorized money clearings. And anytime I would get into negative thinking about money, I would just say the clearing, say the clearing, say the clearing. And guess what? The universe supported me in the most mysterious of ways for me to go to these classes.
Wow. Thank you. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Anthony. You can actually find Anthony when you go to the website talktotheentities.com. You have facilitators, and then you have the directory. And I'm pretty sure with your name, you're probably one of the first ones. Um,
I think it
am
might
I-
be under D for doctor or something. So just in case
oh,
people get
right.
confused.
Okay, Dr. Anthony Metis. Thank you for that. And
Yeah.
like you said, there's free lots. You can actually like purchase like a free intro on the website. There's lots of awesome goodies, blogs.
Totally.
Even find Talk to the Entities on SoundCloud, on YouTube, on this Facebook group, Talk to the Entities Facebook group. Shannon has also an awesome summer tour lining up. Moscow, Italy, and Paris with all sorts of classes. And yeah, like who's out there? Who's out
And
there
Shannon and I
waiting
are,
to create for you?
yeah. And Shannon and I are doing a free Zoom
Yes,
called Embody or Not to Embody on May 7th, I believe.
yes. And
Right?
where is that?
Yeah.
Is that in the Russian page? Where is that?
That is, I don't that well, I know it's on my page. If you go to Dr. Anthony Metis on Facebook page, you'll see. I think it may be written in Russian and in English. So
Yes,
yeah.
awesome. Yes, 9th of May, yeah?
Oh, it's the ninth? I don't know. I forget.
2, oh, what was it again? 2 p.m. CET? 11th.
Yeah,
Sorry, you're right. I'm so sorry. Yeah, 11th,
that's okay.
11th May, 2 p.m. CET, and I'm sure you find it on your page. You can find it on
Yeah,
Shannon's page, and it will be shared around in Facebook as well.
yeah,
Yeah, entities and bodies.
yeah. Yay! And the funny
Um,
thing is, like, she's the entity person. I'm the body person, and she's going to Moscow to do the body class, and I'm going to Moscow to do an entity class. So we thought that was kind of cute.
wow, that's awesome. That's
Yeah,
awesome. Wow, awesome. How does it get
yeah,
any better than that?
totally.
Well, this is it. I totally love what you love about the tools of Talk to the
Thank
Entities,
you.
Anthony. And how does it get any better than that? What else is truly possible? And
Totally.
yeah, I love this question. I think it's a Shannon question. Who and what is waiting to create with you, with or
Oh,
without a body?
yes, exactly. Exactly. I
Okay.
love it. Thank you
Yes.
so much.
You're very welcome. Thank
All
you.
right.
Bye,
Yeah.
everyone. Thank you
Bye.
for watching.